Christmas is over. Thank God.
This video was intended to be a Christmas special, but my family Christmas was a bit awkward this year and I needed a bit of a break and weight off my shoulders. So we're just moving on like it never happened, and I nixed all the Christmas stuff until next year. Nevertheless, we're still going to talk a little bit about Christmas here. Specifically Christmas of 2009, because it was a magical time for me. Revenge of the Fallen was on the shelf, in the theater, and on this 6-year-old's mind, that's for damn sure. And the toys were killing it, but also driving us nuts.
Can't you tell?
Yeah, some of the figures in this line were a bit crazy. RC with her accuracy to a fault, Bludgeon being confused, Skids and Mudflap with their selves.
Funny enough, I got these guys on Christmas, which means I got racism sealed in a box given to me on Christmas. Joy.
But all of that went away immediately as I opened up Revenge of the Fallen Leader Class Optimus Prime on Christmas morning. I could not believe it. This figure was awesome. And it stayed with me until Dark of the Moon came out and Ultimate Optimus Prime showed up. Now looking back on it, I realize that this was a horrible mistake and I never should have asked for this thing for my birthday. This figure was vastly inferior to what we got in 2009. And imagine my blind rage when I went on YouTube one afternoon to watch Optibotimus and I see this. The same figure I had just owned with some serious improvements and the Jetwing pack that I wanted from the movie, and it was roughly the same price as the Ultimate Prime. Hindsight is a bitch. Which is why I was happy that at BotCon 24, TransformerLand finally sold me an American version of the figure. Speaking of, this video is sponsored by TransformerLand. TransformerLand is a great website for all of your Transformer needs with a huge selection of G1 to present figures. You might see them on eBay from time to time, but one thing is, it's 15% off if you go straight to the website. Pro tip, order from the website. If you're in the market for something specific, have a look at their stock updates. They're always getting in new stuff. They also have fantastic price guides, collector's guides, and a mailing list. And the best part is, if you're bored with your collection, you could trade it into them for a trade, or for a payday if you've got something snazzy or worth something. TransformerLand.com, your home away from Cybertron. Go check them out. Starting off in vehicle mode, you can already see why many people consider this to be Hasbro's grandest attempt at this truck. I was out of line in my Nightwatch Prime review as I had not seen this truck in a few years. This one is definitely superior. You'll also notice that even though this is Dark of the Moon, this looks exactly like the Revenge of the Fallen version.
In appearance.
The flame color is excellent. It really does a good job showing the fade from the front to the back. The only thing I would say about the paint and detail that's negative is the fact that the gray plastic could have been silver. That's unfortunate, especially when you remember what the first re-release of this guy looked like. God, that thing was gorgeous. But this is an undeniably great looking semi-truck. Now to play the nostalgia card a little bit, this is an old school leader class, which means he's got a lot of shit going on.
Which is the way it should have been to begin with, Hasbro. I long for the days where we had leader classes that were substantial in size and could do a lot of crazy stuff, not just a Voyager with some extra stuff in the box.
And just to bring up this point one more time,
there's something you need to know. Stuff like that, that's a load of crap. That's a load of crap.
Okay, to be fair, sometimes it's okay. But only sometimes.
That's a load of crap.
As for features, he rolls pretty good. And you might also notice a trailer hitch that is much more distinct than the 2007 release.
And no, I know what you're thinking. They're edging us again. There's no trailer.
So you're telling me that this piece of shit gets a trailer, yet this masterpiece does not. That's preposterous. Instead, they make up for it by giving him this in this release. This, boys and girls, is his flight tech, which is what makes him Jetwing Prime. And I love this. We'll talk about the details to it in robot mode, but it clips nice and tightly into the trailer hitch, and now you got yourself a well-armed flying Peterbilt. Yeah, this is about the most American thing I've ever seen.
Bin Laden is fucking dead.
Since he's an old school leader class, this guy also has lights and sounds.
As they should.
Yeah, this is where this figure kind of takes an L for me. I mean, cool. The cab lights up and the sound is supposed to be a diesel engine running. But I would have liked a little rev in there, you know, like he's rolling coal. Or maybe actually idle like he is in Rise of the Beast through the parking lot looking for transit.
You cannot hide, Decepticon.
But overall, this truck mode is awesome. And it's definitely putting that original 2007 one to shame.
David, transform it. Don't give me that look. You think I'm transforming this thing? No, I got other stuff I gotta do. Oh, you're gonna backtalk me now. You want me to do it? Fine, fine. I don't know what I pay you for anyway.
So, what can I say about this mold's robot mode that hasn't already been said a million times on YouTube? Well, I'll start with this. To this day, I do not believe that they have came even close to topping this as the best movie Prime mold. Studio Series, forget about it. Evasion mode, nope. They even built the Optimus Prime for movie Masterpiece out of this one's engineering, and it still was a disappointment. Come on. The proportions are almost perfect, and to get this level of detail from the films into a figure is beyond impressive. Everything from the face, to the internals of the chest, to the way the side panels end up on the back, everything just works so well. And it gets even more amplified through the colors on the Buster Prime version from Revenge of the Fallen. Speaking of movie variants, this is undeniably the Dark of the Moon version because you can see his abdominal armor there. And honestly, I prefer this for practical reasons because it makes the transformation need less faux parts. As for his colors, it's a lot of the stuff we've seen from vehicle mode, except, like I said earlier, it's mostly colored plastic. If you want more paint, I would go for the Buster Prime version. Plus, it's also compatible with what comes in this version. Now, as for the changes from the other molds, I've already mentioned the abdominal armor, but we also have those blade elbow pad things that he has, but they're obscured by the flaps on his arms. I hate that. Like, at this point, why even include it? It's cool, but still, why include it if it's still pretty obscured by other things?
That's a load of crap.
And for somebody who's had 16 re-releases, he holds together and poses very well. I'm very surprised at that. I figured he'd have some mold degradation, but I guess not. Well, now we should dive into features on him. To start, he's got Mechalive paired with lights and sounds. I mean, it's nice. However, it would be a little bit nicer to have more lines from the movie, like maybe the leader classes from Animated had. I mean, maybe that we could have gotten a...
What if we leave? And you're wrong.
Or maybe...
We take the battle to them.
On the back, you've got his two diesel tanks, which, if you slide them off, you can combine them into his barrage cannon or ion blaster. I'm not really sure. They both look exactly the same. They just fire differently. Either way, don't care. Still cool. And it's worth mentioning that this is also something the Buster Prime version can do as well. I mean, that's why it's called Buster Prime after all. Now for the final thing this guy can do, of course, you want to get rid of the tanks if you haven't taken them off his back already. And then you want to bring in the Jetwing pack. And as for the two things you just saw me take off, those would be heel accessories for Prime's feet that will make him more stable, but also make him more accurate to the movie. They slide on very easily, and now we've got a much more stable Optimus Prime for what we're about to do. And it's a good thing too, because if you attach the jetpack without them, there's a very good chance that Prime just might...
Would you believe me if I told you that this was the reason I wanted to make it a Christmas special?
The reason I got rid of the diesel tanks for the time being is because you'll need to take them off to get the back ready. From there, it's just strapping on the jetpack with this bottom tab here, and then just folding down these straps here and getting everything else adjusted, and there you go. And you may have noticed I hadn't mentioned his flip-out swords yet. That's because they don't exist on this version. The tooling instead allows for the blasters to be attached on, which is just about as simple as plugging them in. Like, it doesn't get more simple than that. And lastly, you take the diesel tanks and plug them into these compartments so you don't lose them. Perfect. And now we have possibly the best Optimus Prime for the movies that Hasbro or Takara has ever made and probably ever will make. God, I'm getting emotional over here just thinking about it. This is a lot of toy, and this would have definitely blown kids' minds in 2011 if we had gotten it over here in the first place. I mean, this is the Amazon version, but if we had gotten it at standard retail, it would have been a game changer. This thing can straight up fuck off. Now, there are a couple things you will notice with this being the Amazon release in comparison to the standard one, that being the wings and the guns. The wings have the stripes from the G1 trailer, which is a nice touch considering these are formed from the trailer, and the guns kind of look like Nerf guns. I don't care, they still look badass. And the wings have 3mm clip adapters on them. Hasbro, please bring these back. I miss them so much. Now, as for the apparatus itself, you might notice it doesn't look anything like it does in the movie. That's because it's based off of concept art, as you can see here.
This might be a hot take, though. I do prefer this, even though I do like the movie version.
But I cannot stress enough how much I love this thing. It's just stunning. It is such a cool toy.
Now, to wrap up articulation on this guy, it's really, really good for the time. Sorry, my throat's a little hoarse. The wings go down and up this far on both sets. They go backwards this far, but they both hinder each other a little bit. But I don't know how much you would want to use anything further than this for both of them, you know, just to store it. But that's still not terrible. The guns go in that far and then they come out, and then they're very flexible with the arm itself. So that's pretty good. I can't complain about that at all. The robot itself, Optimus himself, has his head on a swivel. Don't want to use it too much because there are electronics in there. The arm is on a like butterfly joint, but it still tabs in and plugs in. You can move the windows around a little bit, but they are also spring loaded. The arms go out on a ratchet. They go all the way around on another ratchet. And then he's got a bicep swivel. The elbow's on a soft ratchet. You can move the wheels out of the way and you can get a good spread on a ratchet as well. You can go forward on a ratchet and back. You get knee on a ratchet, and you get ball jointed feet as well. So yeah, this guy is pretty well loaded for his time. I cannot complain about that at all. It's fantastic.
Overall, I love this figure. It's easily the best Optimus Prime for the movies that they've ever made, and I still don't think they can top it. The engineering is phenomenal. The accuracy and sculpting is on point. It's perfect. Like, you couldn't do it any better than this. And they still haven't, like I've been saying. And it just looks great with the rest of your Autobots. And considering this is like one of 16 releases, and if you don't believe me on that number, well, just look at this. Fantastic piece, and any release of this would be a worthy pickup for anyone.
With that being said, keep growing your collections. Treebot out.